1 week now after Americans cast their ballots for president, could Senator Mitt Romney be considering another run for the White House in 2024? The former governor of Massachusetts has been one of the only Republicans to congratulate President-elect Joe Biden on his victory. As WBZ political analyst Jon Keller shows us, that may be part of his long-term strategy.
You're not going to change the nature of President Trump in these last days, apparently, of his presidency. He is who he is, and he has a relatively relaxed relationship with the truth.
Mitt Romney is not a Donald Trump fan, but is there more to his quick acknowledgement of Joe Biden's victory than just good manners?
I have a little bit of a different role, having been the nominee of our party in 2012. I do feel a responsibility to express my views and to represent the small slice of the Republican Party, perhaps, that still supports me.
A small slice is right. 88% of Republicans supported Trump last week, and as the only GOP senator to endorse an article of impeachment against him, Romney is detested by core Trump backers. But given how quickly and thoroughly Trump took over the party that nominated Romney just 8 years ago, could the pendulum swing back just as quickly? If Trump transition shenanigans fueled GOP losses in those two crucial Georgia Senate races, some Republicans may decide Trumpism is a dead end. Should the new administration even partly live up to the GOP's predictions of a lurch to the left, conservative appetite for a winner next time around might boost a Romney candidacy, especially with so many Trump wannabes likely jockeying for position to Romney's right.
But do we have challenges as a party? Absolutely. Yeah. And do we need to do better with young people and minorities in particular? Absolutely.
And one thing is beyond dispute. No one in either party wants to be president more than Mitt Romney.
So, John, we're watching this very careful dance going on in Washington around the results. Why don't you think more Republicans haven't done what Romney and Governor Baker did and acknowledge the Biden win?
Well, because Romney and Governor Baker don't care about what Donald Trump might do to them or say about them, but most of the rest of the Republicans in the Senate clearly do. In fact, they live in terror of it, Paula. I've been hearing this for some time now, and many, if not all of them, fully expect that Trump, even when he leaves office, will continue to be whipping up his core supporters. And as long as the sense is that they comprise a solid majority of the Republican electorate, these men and women will live in fear and they'll act that way. That's the way politics works sometimes.
Well, Mitt Romney's been part of the conversation for a very long time. Jon Keller, we'll keep watching. Thank you.